Here in Louisville, we're very proud of our diversity because, of course, different peoples, different cultures make for a very vibrant community. With me now is Dr. Sushil Gupta, who is the president for the Heritage of India Foundation. Is that correct?
That is correct, John. Thank you for having me today.
I am so glad to have you, Doctor. First of all, a lot of folks out here watching Metro TV may be familiar with you because perhaps you treated their children. You spent quite a bit of time at Norton Children's Hospital, correct?
That is correct. I worked for 8 years, and I enjoyed working with kids, making them smile, and it was get your day fast very soon and in a very fantastic way.
So tell me a little bit, if you would, Doctor, about the mission of the Heritage of India Foundation. You and your wife, apparently, you discovered it. I don't know, founded it, I guess is a better word. And the mission is all about family, community, and the rich Indian culture. Tell me a little bit about how you articulate that.
So, John, I think this was the biggest opportunity came through my way. Being a doctor, finding time for all these things is very hard. But again, I had always passion toward art and culture, and I grew up in New Delhi, India, which is surrounded by diverse culture. And I have seen all the culture. India is made of 28 states, so there are different people from different states, different languages. So I have seen that diversity around me, and same I see in Louisville too. I wanted to create a platform where we can bring our culture, all our artists, to showcase their culture, and take our people to a mesmerizing journey of the culture, what we have in Louisville, Kentucky.
Doctor, I know this is a very broad question, but tell us a little bit about the traditions, the culture of India, because I think a lot about the architecture and monuments and the history, but there's much more to it. What do you want to express to people when they ask about India and your birth country? What do you tell them?
So India is a diverse country, as I was telling you, 28 states. The culture changes every 40 miles. As you go 40 miles, your language changes, your attire changes, and your food, cuisine changes. So that's amazing that how much diversity you can have in one space. And the biggest thing is a good example of pluralism, where you have all people, religion, practicing, all faith, living together. So that's the beauty of India, which a concept, I think, in current world, scenario we are living in, is so important to have that concept everywhere.
And Doctor, you touched upon this, but if you would elaborate, you love the city of Louisville because of its diversity and because you feel very welcome here, and I'm so proud of that. So talk a little bit about what Louisville means to you, and because I think it directly ties to your heritage in India, right?
So we are far from our home, which is India, but this is our new home. So we have made it a home, and we have embraced the people here, and we would like to be embraced. So, and that's another idea of creating this platform here in Louisville, India Fest, what we have created, platform where people can come and show their culture and see our culture and get educated about it. So I think we want to break all the barriers, whichever makes you uncomfortable when you are among diverse people. So I think that's a concept, and that's the idea of bringing that platform so we can be togetherness. That's another thing, concept, togetherness is what the biggest thing which ties us, custom, as you were talking, customs, ties us together. It's a thread, traditions, custom, culture is the biggest thread which ties us together. So I think I'm so excited to bring that thread here in Louisville.
Dr. Gupta, you gave a lot of folks here in Louisville a glimpse of the India culture with your float in the Pegasus Parade recently. So tell us a little bit about the float and what you were trying to portray.
So John, this is very exciting to bring this float. So our theme is Indian Bharat, which is marriage procession, which is led by the groom and his family and friends. It's amazing. Today you see me in this attire. This is my marriage attire, which I'm wearing today. I wore the same attire at my marriage. I've been married for now 22 years. So I still remember how much fun and how much togetherness we had when that procession was going. It was not just two couples uniting. It was more togetherness of the families, getting togetherness of two families, and even the community. So what we are showing in the float is the diverse, the colorful joy, and we are showing a togetherness. And what I can say, this will bring the theme of the float is, as I was mentioning about, marriage is not just about two people, it's about two families coming together. Even if I can say two community coming together, because that's what procession is, where the groom is on a horse ride going to a bridal place where they are waiting eagerly for his arrival. During his way to the bridal place, he is being greeted. He has been blessed by the people on the roadside, and people, friends and families are taking him with dancing, lively music to him to the bridal place where he's going to get united with his partner. And you see that during this procession, you see the community involvement too. I think that's what this will bring the culture. And moreover, what we are going to show on the float is diverse attire of our brides. You will see that the woman or the bride and her mate will be dressed in different attire representing different region of the India.
You know, the story, the wedding and the two families coming together, it's so endearing, and it sounds like a romance novel. I mean, who is not attracted by romance? I mean, that's very important in your culture, isn't it? The romantic coming together of two families and the joining of two families, correct?
That is correct, John. I think it's a good example of, I can say, how we can get together, how we can, be together. When we are together, our joy becomes double. And when we are doing a hardship, those hardship goes down because we are together. So I think togetherness is the key thing here we're going to show by the theme of marriage procession.
Dr. Gupta, you've had a number of events here in Louisville that celebrate the culture of India, and they've all been well received. What made you and your wife, what was the inspiration for starting the Heritage of India Foundation?
So John, I think the biggest, one day my wife came to me and said, hey, our daughter is growing and we need to keep her close to Indian culture. We are so far from India, how we can do that, we don't have a big platform where we can expose her to 28 state regional, culture of India, how we can expose her to our kids. And similarly, I think we have a lot of parents in the same boat. They would like their kids to be exposed to be close to their culture. Although we adapt to new culture very easily, but at the same time, we don't want to leave our traditions, which are so important. I think they have stood so long and have given strength to our community. So I think we would like to continue to be part and to be our children. And at the same time, we want to show the world also our culture. We want to show what we can bring to the world, what we can bring for the other communities, the good stuff. So that's what we want to bring, those good stuff from our culture and diversity to Louisville.
I admire what you're doing because I think education, when people learn about cultures, that brings them together because they understand there's really a lot of similarities between other cultures. And of course, you're looking for that middle ground. I love this. And also you want to expose them to the beauty of India. All right, let's talk a little bit in your native language, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You told me before we started this interview that English is your second language. So if you would please, tell us your thoughts, and then you're going to have to translate for me too. Tell us your thoughts about Louisville, Kentucky, and why you love it so much.
Louisville, Kentucky मेरा घर है और इस घर में हम सब इकट्ठे एक फैमिली की तरह रहना चाहते हैं और we want everybody to know that Kentucky, Louisville is my home now, and we would like to live like a family here.
Dr. Gupta, I really enjoyed the conversation. I love this. Now, if, hopefully I stay married, but if I ever get married again, or maybe I have a second ceremony with my wife, can I wear that?
Sure, yes.
It's beautiful.
Yes, you're welcome, John. You're welcome.
Dr.
Yes.
Gupta, thank you so much.
Thank you, John.
Once again,
Thank
Dr. Sushil Gupta, he is the president of the Heritage of India Foundation. A big part of the mission of Louisville Focus is to expose you to how government works and take a look behind the curtain. Well, speaking of missions, this man is on a mission because he is the Director of Codes and Regulations. He is Mr. Richard Price. Richard, first of all, welcome in and thank you for your time.
Hey, thank you for having me, John.
When people talk about codes and regulations, I think we go, oh, this is over my head. This is really complex. So if you would, give us a little short synopsis of your mission and what exactly you do.
Yeah, well, so, what we're trying to become is trusted efficient, forward-thinking codes and regulations department that promotes safety, supports growth, and fosters community trust. And so we got several divisions of codes and regulations. That first we got our property maintenance division that a lot of people is very aware of, and they take care of all of our property maintenance issues. We have our vacant and abandoned properties that a group, our wonderful staff, go out and they take care of these properties that's been abandoned. We maintain them, got an annual cut list, and then we board vacant properties, for safety. And then we got construction review that we do the permitting for Louisville Metro government. Someone wants to build, contractor wants to do a reconstruction, they want to put up a tent. Our guys is the one to take you through the permitting process.
Something I have to say, I'm going to go ahead and just lay it out to you.
Yes, sir.
So Richard, before you came, I have to admit, as Director of City Partnerships, I heard a lot of people complain about codes and regulations and jumping through hoops and how hard it was. You came on board and very quickly, you got out in the community and you're about a yes, we can do this kind of guy. You want to move things forward. Talk about your philosophy, and you have this overwhelming, and it exudes out of you, this positivity. That's important. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that. Well, listen, government must work for people. That's the reality. So I call it, to our staff, getting to yes. We got a great group of staff that is working hard to provide the services. But the key to it is having the right talented people doing the right things. And I think I've come in and to show them how to get to yes. Work with that builder, work with that contractor to get that permit through. Educate the property owner and landlords regarding property maintenance issues. Partner with other departments to make it a safe city by taking care of abandoned and vacant properties. So it's about getting to yes. And that's my philosophy. I have not only getting to yes, I say this: collaborate, communicate, and then commit. That's what we're doing. That's what we walk by. Those are values of codes and regulations that we do. Collaborate, communicate, and commit.
I like that. Collaborate, communicate, and commit. Obviously, to do that, you have to collaborate with a lot of different departments, including the Department of Economic Development, because really to develop, you have to grow. To grow, you need buildings. There are permits. It's all about safety and codes, as we mentioned here. But your philosophy of yes, let's get to yes, let's become a vibrant, cooperative department, you have done that. Getting out in the community is a big part of that. People need to be aware that it's not as hard as maybe it once was, right?
Yes. It's not as hard because we have made a commitment. That number one, we're going to engage the community. One of the first things I said day one, taking this position, that I want to be in the community. I want us to be not only forward thinking, but we got to be community focused. I want people to, I think when we educate people of what we do, I think some of the barriers that we had my predecessor had, is that we didn't connect to the public. When you connect with the public, that means they got to know what you do and why you do it, and that you're here to help, and that you're here as a partner to work together. Robert Frost, the great poet Robert Frost said this, and I live by this. He said the only way out is through, and the only way through is together. And that's the way I operate this thing and get that thinking and that philosophy to my staff, that we got to engage with the public. They got to help us, talk back to us, tell us what's not working. We work those processes to get them the service they deserve.
Richard, I've only known you for a short time, but I know what you're saying is authentic. It comes from the heart, and I know you're actually, you're exercising that you're on a mission. Okay, let's talk a little bit about an issue we have in Louisville. Well, every city has this problem, abandoned homes or abandoned buildings. You have a program. Tell us a little bit about it, if you would, Richard.
Yes, so we had a pilot program with our vacant and abandoned properties. So, the Louisville Fire Department and LMPD is having problems with crime in these vacant buildings and vacant properties. We get squatters that go in, and the reality is this: they try to find a safe place. When the process, it causes fire, it becomes a place for drug and crime. So I partner with LMPD, Louisville Fire, and a few other agencies, and we put together this pilot program where we clearboard these properties. Now, clearboarding is very interesting because usually we've been using the normal plywood. Well, we know we got some very talented people out there that know how to get around that. So we constantly got to be innovative. So we decided to go with clearboarding. This clearboarding keeps them out. Matter of fact, I'm so proud of the pilot program. So far, we've been doing it now for about 2.5 weeks, and I'm happy to report we have no one able to get into these properties. Now, what does that do? Well, first of all, it cuts down on the amount of runs that LMPD have to do to go to these abandoned properties when neighbors call. It cut down on the fire, so Louisville Fire can focus on something else. And then it put the neighbors, more importantly, the neighbors at ease that this vacant and abandoned property is not going to cause health and safety issues for them.
Richard, I mentioned the fact that you do like to get out in the community, and I've noticed that, and I like that. I agree. You need to engage so people know what you do and how you can help them. So let's talk a little bit about, if you're talking to the audience here for Metro TV, what would you tell them? If you had any little bit of tidbits that you can tell them about what you do or how we can work together to make Louisville a better place to live, what would you say, Richard?
Well, first and foremost, they got to see us as a partner, okay? That we got to do this together. I think I see the public as the subject matter experts. So tell us what works for you so we can come, my team can get together, strategize, and figure it out and provide the service that they deserve. It's important for me to be in it and to live the moment. And the only way I'm going to live the moment, I got to be out there engaging the public, hearing the complaints, taking the feedback. You know, there's a lot of frustrated people out there because of vacant properties and abandoned properties. There's a lot of people frustrated about their property maintenance issues and the landlord tenant issues. We're here to help. We're here to provide that service, but we want to do it as a partner and not someone that hates to see us coming. Okay, I want people to smile when they see our guys coming.
And believe me, I know this guy. You will smile when you see him coming because he's collaborative, and you're there to do a job, as you said, together. Let's get through it together.
Absolutely.
And we'll have success. Yeah. Before I let you go, I mentioned that a big part of the mission of Louisville Focus is to understand different departments and how Metro government works. But I also like to get to know directors and people like the mayor and deputy mayors, a little bit of their personal life. So if you don't mind, tell me a little bit about your family and you and what brought you to Louisville and how much you love the city.
Well, I was born and raised in Louisville, grew up down on 28th and Greenwood. I got 15 other siblings. My mom had 16 children, well actually 19, but children, and we grew up down in the neighborhood. Was a product of busing, that whole situation when I was in high school. I joined Metro government early on with Metro Parks back in 93, 94 as a permanent part-timer. Came in as full-time back in 99 to Animal Services, worked through Animal Services, Solid Waste Management, OMB, to OMB to facilities, and now to codes and regulations. I love Louisville, but more importantly, I love people. And I'm in government because I care. Hey, look, if they didn't pay me, I wouldn't be here. But the reality is this, I do it because I care.
Yes.
And I think the most part you need to know about me is I love people, and I'm here to help people.
Oh yeah, that becomes apparent right away with you, Richard. I appreciate your time. And once again, now you know a little bit of, hey, you do have a friend in Metro government in Richard Price. And once again, he is the Director of Codes and Regulations. The mayor often talks about the importance of West Louisville thriving and growing. We also talk about the need for more technology in Louisville, whether it be businesses or technology talent. This man can help with both. He is Dave Christopher Sr. He is the founder and the president of AMPT. Dave, first of all, thank you for your time.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I hear a lot of good things about you, my man, because for any city to grow, technology is important. Obviously, brown and black communities that have been underserved, important to make sure that there is equality. So talk a little bit about AMPT, its mission, and when you founded it, what was the goal?
I mean, honestly, I tell people, first of all, thank you, appreciate you guys giving me this opportunity, but I actually tell people I stumbled into nonprofit. I mean, I really had I was running a technology company, everything was going well, had a friend who needed to raise money for their nonprofit. And my son, I moved to Louisville, Kentucky as a single dad. And me and my son and our journey was music. And so I was like, okay, well, I want to open up a business to try to figure out how to raise money for this other company. I'll keep enough to keep it going. They'll get the profits. That's how it would work. But then I asked, it was a recording studio, and I said, okay, can we have kids come in and hang out in the studio when we're not using that studio to make money for them? And so that's kind of how AMP really began. It's like kids coming in just to the studio while it wasn't being used to make money for this organization. And that turned into a 2-week summer camp. That 2-week summer camp turned into an all year round program that teaches everything that you need to know about music. I mean, all the instruments, music production, how to book shows, like voice lessons, anything you can think of. Because the whole idea was, the one thing I wanted the kids to understand about the music itself was that there's more than just being on the stage. There's more that if you care anything about this, that you should know as much as you can about it, because that lessens the chance of somebody taking advantage of you. So if you know what the recording studio looks like, and you know how to create your own music, if you know how to write, and you know how to produce, and like all these things, and not only that, it was kind of a trick in that it taught them how to complete something, how to start it and finish it. And then the other part was taught them the value of the time that they put in, because when they learned the instrument and they got their grades together, because we had a partnership with JCPS to see the grades and stuff, then we give them the instruments. But not only that, these kids are actually selling their music, like legitimately selling their music and performing and getting paid to perform. Whenever we ask them to perform, we pay them to perform, because the whole idea is that what you did, the time you spent, has value. So we did that. That was going good. The grades were doing good. Everything was doing good. But it felt like we were taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And when I realized, and it was actually Sharon Darling from the National Center for Families Learning was the one that sort of put this bulb on for me, was she said, there's no such thing as a child in poverty that doesn't live with a parent in poverty. And I was like, oh, okay. So we have to make sure that these kids are supported by the people they spend the most of their time with. And those folks were underemployed or unemployed or just struggling, trying to make it. And so my background being in technology, I thought, okay, why don't I teach them technology, get them jobs in technology? Now, my story was different in that I was self-taught in technology. I did not have a college degree until I was like 40 years old. And I had a company, and I worked actually in IT at UPS. And so I assumed that it was okay to not have a degree, only to find that you needed a 4 to 6 year college degree, you needed 4 years experience.
You had a natural aptitude.
I did. I loved it. I mean, I fell in love with it. I found a book one day. I was in the Air Force. I spent 11 years in the Air Force. I found a book in a drawer when I first started the Air Force. I found this book that had MS-DOS in it. I started reading it. Didn't know what I was reading. And I just started typing the stuff out. And next thing I know, it was this and then this and then this. And I just fell into it. So that was, yeah, so that's how but that's my story. But like when I realized that this could work for other people, because I grew up in poverty, right? And so when I learned technology, then I could either work for somebody or work for myself and make a really good living doing it. And so I thought it would work for other folks, and here we are now doing that. Yeah.
Wow, what you do is so impressive, because it's a little overwhelming to me, because there's so many different tentacles out there. Mm-hmm. And that trickle-down effect that we talk about a lot is really true with you. Like, okay, let's talk about how you're helping people in the music industry, technology growth, bringing families together with support, et cetera. It's a lot, but it's doing exactly what the mayor talks about a lot. We need help in the technology areas. We need kids to have jobs that can help pay bills, et cetera, succeed and know what that feels like. So all of these things that you're doing, congratulations to you. It's really amazing. It's funny to me when I talk technology and then music, and obviously you've married the two, that's that left brain, right brain, you know, that's kind of hard to do, but you seem to do it very successfully, right?
Well, if you think about it, like there's 2 acronyms that people use. One is called STEM and one is STEAM. STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math, right? The other one is STEAM with an A, so it's science, technology, arts, engineering, and math. And so if you think about it, what we do is actually arts, because like all the technology equipment that we use in doing production and music and all those things, all of that's science. And so like that's the creative part and the technical part sort of brought together. When you think about like playing a drum, there's frequencies and stuff involved in that. And so there's lessons all throughout arts.
Interesting.
Right? There's arts and technology. I mean, there's technology and engineering and all that within the arts.
Obviously what you're doing, Dave, is getting results, and it is recognized. The mayor, the city, has made a significant contribution. We have a huge, I like that word, to a new building. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so on May 18th, we'll be celebrating our 10-year anniversary. So AMP will be 10 years old, actually May 15th, and that's Saturday, which is May 18th. We're celebrating our 10-year anniversary with a block party and the groundbreaking for a 13,000 square foot 3-story technology training center. Now, the really super exciting thing about the exciting things about that building is in that building will be free childcare. So the people that come into that building for training will have a place for their kids. There'll be a cold cafe so they can get food. There'll be wraparound services. Our partners like Metro United Way, Louisville Urban League, Goodwill, and others will be located in that space. When you first walk through the door of the building, there's a triage space. So you walk in there and you tell us what you need. What are the barriers that will keep you from being successful in this space, right? And then you go up there, and all this is at no cost to people. So you're talking about industry recognized certifications in Power BI, in networking, security, computer repair, no cost to them. The other thing that we're doing as far as the technology training is, right now we got a class going, and we do a 12-week immersive. We're paying them $15 an hour for 40 hours a week for 12 weeks. So they're earning that time. So their job is to learn. Because a lot of everything that we do is about dignity. So we could hand them stipends, we could give them like something to cover transportation, something to cover, we could do that. But if we tell them that this is your job is to learn for this 12 weeks, and we've got great partners like Humana, Brown-Forman, Yum Brands, Waystar, El Toro, these companies are waiting to hire these folks with high school diplomas and GEDs because they didn't have, just like myself, didn't have the opportunity or the resources to go to college, but they know what they know. And so it's like a completion thing. It's all about wraparound service.
Well, you seem to be speaking to that, that adage about, give a man a fish or teach him to fish, and you're teaching them to fish, and really not only to make contributions to the community, but to feel good about themselves, which is that's a high-end goal, and I appreciate that. Let's talk a little bit about the future of AMP. Obviously, you're having success, you're getting results, you've made partnerships with some really prominent businesses here in Louisville. What do you do moving forward here? How do you improve on this, Dave?
Continue to tell the story that this is not a one-year thing. That this is not something that is fixed overnight. It's not fixed in a year. It's not fixed in 3 years. We're talking about centuries of inequities, right? That got us where we are. And we talked earlier, before when I first got here, was about how this is a bigger problem than just something that lasts a cycle, right? Because that's what kind of happens a lot of times is folks are in for a certain period of time, and then almost like they imagine that it's solved now, like hunger is solved, or homelessness is solved, or the job issue, the job situation, and poverty, those things are solved in this short period of time. Now, the good thing about us and AMP in terms of like what we get in terms of like donations and investments in that, and we call them investments because what we try to do is take what you give us and turn that into something more, right? So you look at all of the things we have in terms of our music academy where we rent out equipment to folks, so that's earned revenue. We have contracts with other people to do services that they're building, that's earned. So we're not always had our hand out, but understand that for us to get there and to build that foundation, we need those funds. It's almost like startup capital, right? So right now we've got a $10 million campaign going on. It's so our 10th year, celebrating our 10th year, we're trying to raise $10 million over the next 3 years to stabilize that, right? It's a business.
It's a long process, and I'm glad they have someone like you as the leader and president because you see big picture. You see, hey, it's going to be a while. It's going to be a process. You understand that, but the outcome has been and could be even better. Amazing is what's going to happen in the future.
Yes.
Okay, before I let you go, how can people help? If they've heard about AMPed, they hear your story, they're watching you on Metro TV, and they say, man, this guy is sharp. I like what he's saying. How can they help?
So one, I would say go to the website, www.amplouisville.org, and make a donation and be a monthly donor, right? Because like again, this is what we need. We need people to continuously pour into the work we're trying to do. If you're if you're a corporation or a foundation, think about how you can best help us with larger, long-term gifts, right? Things to give us time to build this runway to get this thing done because we're winning. The city is winning. We talked about this earlier. There's a momentum right now in the city that is just incredible. And I really see that whole 9th Street divide, I see it fading. And I really think if we can continue to push, right, and we can get people to support us that way, right, because I'm saying there's tons of other, like hundreds of other organizations out here that are very worthy of your support. But today I'm asking you for the support of AMPed and what we're doing because we're doing it and we're doing it big.
I love your positivity, and I agree with you. I feel the momentum. Perhaps you feel it too. Again, visit their website and give generously. Dave Christopher Sr., who is the president and founder of AMPed.